If you've been watching any of my videos, you might have noticed this picture sitting behind me on my bulletin board usually. And you may have been wondering, or not, explanations as to, wow, that's an interesting picture. What's the story behind it? Well, long story short is I toured through Spain on bicycle back in 1987, all the way through the northern coast, 500 miles in a month or something like that. It was awesome. I was a lot of pounds lighter and much younger back then. Why do I bring this up? Well, if you look over here, notice the saddlebags, the panniers. They are loaded on top of brackets, okay? So keep that in mind. We're loaded on top of brackets. So what's that got to do with solving nonlinear inequalities in one variable, particularly as it pertains to fractions? Well, let's take a look. I've got x minus 3 over x plus 5 is less than or equal to 0. Now, be careful about some people saying, oh, I just clear the fraction up by multiplying both sides by x plus 5 and figuring it out from there. That's dangerous. Okay, I'm not going there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'll go ahead and use my number line again, kind of like if you've been watching parts 1 through, I don't know what part I'm on this now, 5, 4, something like that. You'll notice that I use these factors, and what makes these factors go to 0, I call them tipping points. So a negative 5 will make this denominator go to 0, and this 3 will make my numerator go to 0, okay? So my intervals that I'm going to be working with now are from negative infinity to negative 5 to 3, and then 3 to infinity. Notice the infinity and negative infinity both have parentheses, and I have not yet put brackets or parentheses on my negative 5 and my 3. There's a reason for that. See this guy here, less than or equal to? That does mean we're going to have brackets in here, but we're not going to have brackets on both the 3 and the negative 5. As it turns out, we're only going to put brackets on the 3. And not on the negative 5. The negative 5 will get parentheses. Now, why is that? Well, mathematically correctness speaking, the reason is a bracket means you can, C-A-N, include that number as part of your answer. So I could plug in a 3 in the numerator. 3 minus 3 will be a 0 in the numerator. And who cares what the denominator is as long as it's not 0? And it won't be if a 3's in there, right? It'd be 8. 0 divided by 8 would be 0. And 0 is less than or equal to 0, right? So that's okay. We can do that with a 3. Be careful with the negative 5. If you plug a negative 5 in that denominator, negative 5 plus 5 will make that denominator go to 0. The numerator would be negative 8 or something. And a negative 8 divided by 0, it's undefined, right? That's why I've got to put parentheses around that negative 5. So whatever that x is in the denominator, whatever will make that denominator go to 0, put a parentheses on that one. Okay, not a bracket, never a bracket on that. Which brings me back to my picture here. All right, remember I was mentioning the bags here go on top of the brackets. All right. Follow me on this. This x minus 3 is on top of the rest of the fraction, right? And it gets the bracket. Huh? Gosh, sometimes I'm just a genius. Yeah, and I'm so cocky too. All right, I'll probably mess this up on purpose so I can get myself some humility going. Shortcuts. I've got 2 factors here, and if you watch parts 1 and 2 and actually 4, I showed, okay, so this is part 5. You can use a shortcut on this one because I've got two factors here, both getting raised to the first power, okay? Which means I can use, in fact, parts 1 and 2 of this sequence tells me I can use this particular shortcut. 2 factors both getting raised to the first power, it's less than, okay, and if you've watched before, you'll know that my answer is going to be, if it's less than or equal to, your answer is going to be this middle interval. Okay, so it's done. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be done. Now, if you skeptics out there, this is for you. Go ahead and do it the long way. Oh, this is going to be painful for me. All right. We'll test x equals negative 6. So negative 6 minus 3 over negative 6 plus 5, is that less than or equal to 0? Well, that's negative 9 over a negative 1, trying to be less than or equal to 0. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. That's 9. 9 is not less than 0, so that's false. See? All right, well, let's test 0. That's within negative 5 to 3. It's going to work, but I'll prove it to you. Test x equals 0, so that's 0 minus 3 over 0 plus 5, trying to be less than or equal to 0. That's a negative 3/5, and that is less than or equal to 0, so that's true. There you go. And I'll prove why this won't work. Let's test an interval within between 3 and infinity. Let's test x equals 4. 4 minus 3 over 4 plus 5, trying to be less than or equal to 0. That's 1/9, and 1/9 is not less than or equal to 0. So that's false. So the shortcut would have worked on this. All right, but the big thing to take away from this, and I've seen this on final exams, is if you've got a fraction like that being less than or equal to 0, so there is going to be a bracket on there, the bracket's only on the numerator, right? Remember, the saddlebags go on top of the brackets, and the brackets, the top guy gets the bracket. All right.